was Knit in Public Day, and I don't know if it's National Knit in Public Day or International Knit in Public Day or what, but this happened. Okay, so first up, I didn't think I was going to get to partake in this, so I've kind of kept out of the internet chats about it and everything because I thought it was going to be working, and then it turned out it wasn't going to be working. So, you know, texts, and I arranged to meet up with my friend, and we decided, you know, we need to do this. Although we did have a little bit of debate about why is this happening? Why is there a Knit in Public Day, whether it be national or international or whatever? And actually we decided, mainly I decided, she was busy trying to sort out a Fair Isle pattern. It makes a bit more sense if it's international. So if it's not international, it should be next year. But it raised the question, why? Because, well, I knit in public all the time. My friend knits in public all the time. We both do it. I've got loads of other friends who knit and they knit in public all the time. So why do we need a National Knit in Public or International Knit in Public Day? Which we thought was an excellent topic to discuss while we had our tea and crisps and things. So anyway, we came to, well, we didn't come to any conclusions, but there were several areas of conversation which I thought I would mention in this video. Firstly, we might knit in public all the time, but not everybody is going to feel able to do that. Not everybody may be able to do that. I mean, we're basing all of this on our experiences in British culture, because, you know, we live in Britain. And there are other cultures around the world that are very different, and I can't speak about them because I don't have direct knowledge of them. I've never knit in another country. Scotland doesn't count because it's part of Britain, and don't say that to the Scots, they might get upset. What else did we come up with? So there was that. There was also the aspect of, actually, this isn't necessarily just about knitting, this is about doing something as a community, whether it be a national or an international community. Whether we like it or not, social media, etc., and communications mean we do live in, oh, what is that horrible phrase that they always use? The global village. Yeah, you know, I have friends that I talk to regularly who live in other countries, especially North America, regarding knitting. So there's that aspect of it. So we thought that was quite, maybe something that was important. We were slightly concerned that it might just be something made up by some yarn shop owner somewhere just to make sales. Not that we object to people going to their local yarn shops. We encourage it. We do it a lot. Practically every opportunity we can. But, you know, we didn't want to think of something in cynical terms. The other thing that we talked about was, okay, so knitting in public, has this ever been an issue? And quite frankly, neither of us have actually had any major, big problems doing it. And we did come up with the top 3. I was in all of them. That was quite worrying. So these were more little stories to do with knitting in public more than problems. So one, I came up with two, and then I asked my friend if she had one as well, and she came up with one involving me. So the one involving me from my friend actually happened the other week when we were in the pub getting out our knitting. So we'd got some grub and stuff and everything, and we're getting our knitting out, and as I took my knitting out, one of my needles partially came off, exposing about 20 or 30 stitches, and I swore. You pull that out, that happens, you swear, right? I'm in a pub, there's no kiddies around. In fact, there was only us and this other guy who was sat at a table just sort of, I was facing my friend and he was behind my friend, and he told me off for swearing. It wasn't even a particularly bad swear word. This is a man who's sitting there on at least his second pint because he's going up to get another one at 11 o'clock in the morning, and he's telling me off for swearing. Wasn't a loud swear, I wasn't yelling, wasn't the F word or anything like that. And I just basically said to him, you're lucky it wasn't something worse, mate, you know, look what happened. And he did sort of say, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't realise, you know, something had happened like that, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, the number of times I've sat in this very same pub and all I've been able to hear from other tables has been people effing and blinding. And I say one word, which wasn't even a bad swear word, and somebody's going to call me on it. I just sort of shrugged it off and thought, but apparently my friend was quite annoyed about that. So anyway, that was her story, and the other two were two of mine, both of which happened in public, but not in public. So the first one was a few years ago. I hadn't been knitting socks very long at the time, and at the time I used to call my knitting my therapist, because it's something that I do that helps chill me out, relax me, helps me think and put things in perspective. That's the best way to look at it. Helps me put things in perspective. So I'm sat at work and we're all there, it's lunchtime, blah blah blah. I worked in a school and I've got my knitting out and I'm knitting a sock. And I do cuff down socks. I've done down the cuff, I've gone round my heel, I've gone down the foot, I've even tried it on to make sure it's the right length on my foot, and I'm doing the toe and everything. And somebody she'd been watching me for a little while and she went, what is it that you're making? And I figured that was either, she was either trying very she was trying in a very she was trying in a passive aggressive way to insult me, or she was a bit stupid. I mean, a few minutes earlier I just tried it on my foot. So I came to the conclusion she was just being a pillock. Because there was nothing wrong with my sock. The other one, and this is, you probably noticed I'm always surrounded by cameras and stuff like this because I love my photography, and I actually met my now husband at a camera club. And this is before we were married, but I think we were engaged at the time. If not, we weren't far off being engaged. I think we were engaged though. And I went down and it was a social night at the club. So it wasn't like there was any photography going on or anything like that. And I was working on a pair of socks for him. And I was going down the cuff. I hadn't reached the heel at this point. And camera clubs around here, as in Britain, have a little bit of a reputation for being populated by old men who like to fondle their lenses. And a group of the old men who were all sat there with their bags, you know, pristine camera bags, not a bit of mud on them, discussing their f-stops. And that's a camera thing for you knitting people watching. And they decided they were going to say something to me about knitting at a camera club. Because I don't tend to take my camera in. I'm not interested in sitting around comparing the size of my lens. I'm interested in using my lens, and that doesn't happen in a camera club, or in this particular camera club on a social night anyway. So I'm going round and round because I'm knitting down and I'm going down, and one of them decided he was going to be a bit of a smart aleck and, you know, what you knitting, you do know it's a camera club, like this and everything. And for some reason I just didn't feel like humouring him too much that night. I don't know. So I just held it up, you know, and as you do, and you put your hand in and stretch it a little bit. I said, well, it's a willy warmer for his nibs, but I'm a bit worried it's not going to be big enough. Do you think it'll be big enough? I have never seen a bunch of blokes try to change the subject so fast in my entire life. It was hilarious. Of course, what they couldn't see was behind them on the other side was actually my other half wetting himself laughing, because he knew I would say something like that. So that was my other story, and I think I'm going to put that as my number one funny story, because I still giggle to myself when I see those guys and I think, yeah, you like to pretend you're all this big macho and blah 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 and everything, but you know, woman mentions a willy warmer to you and you all crumble and go to pieces and don't know what to say. So there we go. So I'm going to sign off now, but before I do, what did you do for Knit in Public Day? Did you do anything? Do you do it normally? Because I knit in public all the time. And do you have any funny stories that you'll share with me? Okay, take care, like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. Okay, bye!